right. Well, my guests have been very kind and have already outstayed the amount of time that I told them they were going to be on this stream. And if they are willing to stay a little bit longer, I have been skipping questions like crazy from the chat because we just had so much content to get to. But if you've got time, I would love to just go through a few of the questions that we missed to see if we can provide answers. And we can't guarantee that we'll have answers to every question. We've got a particular smattering of people here on this stream who know a random sort of things. But if you guys are ready to hang out, we can go through some of these things.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm scrolling up to the top of this list here. So Alex Goldcry wants to know, will I keep all of my influence and equipment when I change the map? So does everything, so is there anything that is lost when you're switching from one map to another after you complete your legacy, or is it basically just like a traditional map move?
So it's like a traditional map move. And I know there's another question further down too. And if you finish the legacy and you already have 4 cars parked in your parking spot and you're driving in 5th car, Zoe, is that something that we resolved, or is that still a problem where if you drive a car when finished in the legacy, that car won't go with you? I can't remember.
I believe that we fixed it. I think so. Zoe, do you know something that I don't?
I feel like I saw that cross our plate. I think we fixed
Yeah.
it. Don't quote me.
I think it was right before I left the team. I think I was working actually with one of our external engineers who he put together a system where even if your destination base only has, say, 2 parking spots, we actually added invisible parking spots going up to 5 on every single base. And so no matter so the 4 parking spots that you filled with cars back at your home base and the 5th one that you're driving, all 5 should be able to arrive somewhere around your base. They might not be in the most obvious place. Look around a little bit, but you should be able to keep all those cars. That was what we certainly intended. If it's not working that way, go to support.stateofdecay.com and let us know, because I'm pretty sure that was the intent.
Geoffrey.
Yes.
Part of the question, part of the implied part of that question might also be like, when you're finishing a legacy and then change maps. So like when you finish that legacy, rules, basically? And that if you finish the legacy, I think you'd have to get back in the car.
Oh, that's
like it's not going to take. Yeah. So
that's
otherwise it's not. Otherwise it's not going to read you as being driven. So.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because when you're leaving the map, we sense that you've entered the map volume with the car that you're in, and so we take that car seriously. But if you've been fighting a bunch of humans, you're probably not in your car. So yeah, rush back to your car, I guess, or just don't bring a car that you absolutely want to keep. Thank you for bringing that up, Joe, because I had not thought about that angle about it. Let's see here. Okay, so we already answered the question about whether the cost of calling a legacy survivor varies with difficulty. But we also answered the question about whether the characters who have personal quests will probably get reset when they leave to join the legacy pool and come back again. Backpacks do not stack. That was another question we had. Let's see here. Oh, thoroughly testing our game. That was a question we had. And... Burnt Dragon asks, do we still have to remove our weapon attachments from the supply locker on guns by having to equip them to the player inventory? I'm not exactly sure what Burnt Dragon is asking. Joe, do you understand that better than I do?
Yeah. So like if you have it works the same way as in your backpack, right? So like if you have a gun that's in your backpack and it has a muzzle mod on it, you have to equip it first and then take it off. And it's the same thing if it's in your supply locker. I would imagine that's the question, and I don't think we've changed that behavior.
Yeah,
my knowledge. Chris?
No, I don't think. I know that is a item in our backlog, but I'm 99% sure that didn't make it into Forever Communities.
Yeah, and that one would be a challenge too, because I think one of the reasons why we have it on the equip slot is because it shares, like we're running out of buttons on a controller, and it shares a button with something else that happens in the supply locker. So I think it would be very difficult to make it happen in the supply locker unless we found a new workaround with the buttons.
Yeah, I've seen a couple comments in chat and even like in incoming customer support tickets where folks are saying, "Oh, this sending to legacy pool key binding doesn't work, or it's unbound," and that'll sometimes happen. We've historically run into that issue when someone has custom key bindings and then we add a function or modify our default key bindings, then something gets mixed up in the middle and then something ends up unbound for whatever reason. So usually in those cases, if you reset your key bindings, which I know can be a pain, and I apologize for that, that should fix the issue too.
We've got a question. Somebody, who was it? Satyr Bloodstone wants to know why crossbows are at the bottom of the list now instead of the top of the weapons.
Yeah, so it should go, I think it goes from small, like actual bullet ranged weapon caliber to large bullet caliber, and then from there it goes to crossbows. So I think that was just a subjective decision where we made crossbows go after your bulleted ranged weapons, but the overall organization and that kind of stuff is definitely something that we want to keep an eye on and how we can improve. Like I saw another comment in chat where Plague Cure should be at the top when you sort by type or something like that. And that's definitely something that we've talked about already, where we want to make it easy as possible to find those like, no, oh, I just got back to my base, I'm barely alive, and I need to find the thing real fast situations. A little bit easier for you.
Yeah, like with the Plague Cure, that seems like there's a very good argument for why that one should be at the top.
Mhm.
Whereas with the crossbows versus the guns, you could just as easily have asked, well, why were the crossbows ever at the top? You know, it was arbitrary both times. And so so if you really liked it the old way, sorry about that. But yeah, it is sort of an arbitrary kind of decision. Let's see here. So we got there's a couple questions here that we already answered. Let's see. Oh, so Creature wants to know, can you put a whole community in the legacy pool and delete that community that way without finishing the legacy? Like when you're down to your last character, can you ship that character off to the legacy pool? You'd have to talk to them, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, after you legacy, you would have to get rid of everybody at that point, which you can, and then that essentially treats it the same as disbanding. But you can't have like the only survivor in your community and then send that last person there. Yeah, we stop you from doing that.
Okay, so at the time of legacying, you can, just like before, dump everybody in the legacy pool, just like you used to. But when you're actually like sending individuals off in person, once you're down to your last person, you can't do it with them.
Yeah, you can't send yourself. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because you have to have a hard talk with yourself and explain life to yourself, and that would be really kind of awkward. People
and a very lonely community after that.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like, I have done RimWorld communities like that where you keep watching after everybody's gone and like chickens take over the base. But that's not really a thing that we simulate in State of Decay 2. Swooty Bird wants to know, when moving to another map, is the overflow resource decay more lenient? Do we still have to load up vehicles with resource bags, or is the process easier? Have we done anything to change the way that overflow works? When you've got, like, for instance, if you're in a really huge base with really huge, well-developed storage, and then you move maps and you land in a kind of crappier base with crappier storage, are you going to lose? Have we done anything to make you lose less resources as part of that process?
I'm positive that was a conversation at one point where we're like, do we build in some kind of break period where you're not decaying? Zoe or Joe, do you remember if that's something we actually acted on, or?
I don't think we did that for forever communities.
Yeah.
But I think where we landed is you still have that hour where overflow resources are protected from all kinds of decay. And as a we'll call it a veteran player, I also, like, for everything except materials, I make sure that I'm down to 25 or fewer before I move maps, or in this case, complete a legacy. So just some suggestions, because the materials should be good enough for a long time, like about an hour in gameplay, which is close to a day.
So we had a couple people who actually, I think Ryoki Shine asked this, and so did Kit Critical. In the Legacy pool, when I was moving characters around, some of them had like purple banners on their names, and some of them had like orange banners, and they wanted to know what the color differences meant.
So when you're starting a community, blue banner is random generated character, purple is from the Legacy pool, and I think orange is someone that's currently in your community.
Okay,
that is another item I'm blanking on. If I dug through documentation, I can find the specifics on that one.
Yeah, so it's probably so that sounds like it's probably something like that. And if you're slightly off, I'm betting the players can figure out from what you just said what's actually going on if you're just a little bit off. So that's great. That's good to know.
If I manage to dig up the answer before our stream ends, I'll interject.
So, Relias wants to know if you've got like a Haven device or a Red Talon facility that have like really like very valuable and rare like ingredients basically that make them up. When we move maps at the end of our legacy, will those facilities be broken down and you still get to keep all of those items in your supply locker so you can build them again in the new place?
It's treated the same as like if you move bases on the same map, like you're refunded for your facility costs and whatnot.
So basically, I had a Haven device with the lion's share, and I'm pretty sure that if I go back, I've quit out of them right now, but if I go back in there, I'm pretty sure I will find the Haven device in that inventory. In fact,
Right.
During the next opportunity when I'm not talking, I might go back in there just to double check to reassure people that that's actually how it works.
Something else that's worth noting during that move maps process, same as sending people to your legacy pool, is they will be automatically cured with advanced medical technology of all ongoing ailments and health concerns.
That's really worth noting. Yeah. So basically, if a character was like a minute away from, or seconds away from dying of blood plague when they went into the legacy pool or whatever, then when they come back, they're fine. Everything's okay. They were fixed off screen.
For a cost of 1,200 influence.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not free, but it's just as not free as everything else. All right. Other questions include. Let me scroll down here. Okay, yeah. So we verified that somebody go on the way to the legacy pool can be ripped in half. Could you potentially? Could there be an exploit in the game? I think somebody asked this question. Might have been Clinton Moore asked this question. If I send somebody to the legacy pool and they get ripped in half on the way out the door, could I loot them of all their items, but also have them retain all of their items in the legacy pool, and you basically get duplicates of those items if they manage to pull off that feat?
So go for it.
Again,
Oh, sorry, what?
answer cloudy. Ask again later.
Oh, okay. So we're not dead certain. Yeah, I would be very amused to find out that players had experimented with that and found out that it was true.
I look forward to the videos.
Yes, exactly. Please make videos. Send videos or it didn't happen. See here. Okay, so there's Mythalar was the one who asked the question about parking spots, and we got to that. Okay, so Tomas Tipman says, please add Geoffrey's hairstyle into the game. It could be some kind of hat. I want to equip it to all of my survivors. Thank you very much, Tomas. Having a sort of a rooster tail themed community sounds. I would be honored if someone found a way to do that. I don't think that's in the plan exactly, but I appreciate.
We can put it in the backlog. Whether or not it gets prioritized, I don't know. But
yeah, there you go. Oh, here's a question. So Promised Triggering Excalibate asks, does the soft population cap prevent you from pulling characters into the legacy pool? So to give a little bit of background, we never actually formally advertised to you what the maximum community size is, but under the surface, we've got sort of a soft cap of 9 where we stop letting you use most forms of recruitment. And then there's actually a hard cap of 12 where there's a few ways you can sneak 3 extra characters into your community, but most of the time it's really hard. So they're wondering, if you're recruiting people from the legacy community, are they limited to 9 or can you do it after 9 and get up to 12?
It's limited to 9 currently.
Yeah.
But there are ongoing conversations about why we have both. And if there is a way we can get rid of the soft cap, we will.
Yeah, that is the thing. I think pretty much nobody here likes the soft cap. Unfortunately, the reason why we haven't done anything about it is because it has reached its tendrils deep into the game, and there's a lot of places that basically assume it's there and that it works a certain way. And there's a lot of changes we'd have to make in a lot of places, which opens us up to a lot of bugs potentially happening. So it's something that I think that a lot of us would love to fix. But it's a big undertaking, something we have to do very, very cautiously because of the consequences of getting something wrong. And let's see here. Oh, there's a water boiler. I'm trying to find my Haven capsule on this community, and I'm having trouble because I don't actually know where it appears in the supply locker. So I'm going to stop doing that, and instead. So La Coalition asks, is it normal for the command for the command center facility to return to level 1 when completing a community? So if I complete
Yeah.
my legacy and I go back, so usually the command center when you're moving maps or when you're moving bases, the command center, if you've got it at level 3, it stays at level 3. But did we intentionally have it go back down to 1 if you've legacied?
So if it's staying at the level even when you move maps, because I know obviously when you move bases it stays, but even if when moving maps it stays, but it's not when you're legacying and moving maps. That's definitely sounds like a bug.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's something that's worth probably somebody writing down and checking out. So thank you, La
Mhm.
Coalition. La Coalition is one of our best sources for bugs from the community, so we appreciate it, La Coalition.
I wouldn't guarantee it's unintended.
Yeah, it might have been something that as a result of the legacy code, like when you for completing a legacy, it might be something that we had to just account for. I know that Matea and Zoe worked really hard to try to make sure we retained that, but I think I remember a conversation between you and her, Zoe, about why that might be.
So sometimes you'll end up being surprised when you're working on a feature. You'll be like, oh, here's what we should do. Here's the obvious right choice. And then as soon as you look at the actual code, you're like, oh, never mind. That would break everything. Or when you think through the ramifications in the larger design, you realize, oh, that thing that seemed like it was obviously a good move would actually break everything. So if we can't fix or change a thing like that, please be patient with us, because sometimes you just run into a situation where something that sounds obviously doable on its surface is actually really challenging under the hood. One thing I should show off, by the way, this is the lion's share, having moved to their new base at the bridge fort. You can see it's a bridge fort right here. I do have the ability to build a Haven device. So even though I couldn't figure out where in the supply locker my Haven capsule was, I definitely have it because I can build the Haven device. So there you go. There's your confirmation. I did not lose my Haven device by legacying and leaving my leaving my map.